Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So one of my favorite days is new exhaust day. If you guys have been following me, you guys know that I'm a very big exhaust nut. I always like changing things up to find that perfect note. On my STI, I ran multiple different setups. My E46 M3, I ran 9 different exhaust setups to find exactly what I wanted. Multiple other cars, I've tried many different iterations and different styles and exhausts and all that. And it's no different from the F80 M3. Now, originally I started with what everybody starts with, and that is the Active AutoWorks single non-resonated mid-pipe with the competition muffler and stock downpipes. Ran that for a little bit, enjoyed it, but ultimately I want a little bit more volume out of it. So what I ended up doing was reaching out to somebody out in Germany by the name of Inked Customs. The owner, Patrick, fantastic guy. He builds handmade quality exhaust for just about any car, but his specialty is M3s. He personally has an F80 M3 himself, so he has many different iterations and tons of different styles that he's tried in his own personal M3 to ultimately give us the best options available. So when I reached out to him about a year ago, I was like, listen, I want something super loud. I want to pair it up with the Active AutoWorks single mid pipe. I'm not a big fan of valves. What can you offer? And what he did was actually give me a pretty much as loud as you possibly can go, and that is a muffler delete. So he custom made a really nice axle back for me. Basically, it's called an anti-drone muffler. So what it is, it completely deletes the valves. I don't have to worry about them. It's just loud all the time. It has one muffler going across from each side. That's it. And you know what? I really enjoyed it. I loved it. But with the Active AutoWorks single mid pipe, there were some parts of the RPM band that I wasn't crazy about. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, what should we do? I kind of want to make this a little bit deeper, refine the note a little bit. So we came up with doing a single resonated mid pipe by Inked Customs. So I got rid of the Active, went to a full inked cap back with a single resonated mid pipe and the anti-drone muffler. Loved it. Thought it sounded fantastic, but when adding the resonator, it quieted it down a little bit too much for me. So what I ultimately ended up doing was adding some downpipes. So at first we added the ARM Motorsports resonated downpipes. Love them, sounded really good, but ultimately I wanted something just a little bit louder. I wanted something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more bark, if you will. I actually am a little bit of a fan of the rasp that the S55 has. I was a really big fan of it in the S54 in my E46 because that is what that motor sounds like, and I was a big fan of it. So I ended up taking out the ARM resonated downpipes, and I ended up going with the VRSF catless non-resonated downpipes. Love it. So currently my setup is VRSF non-resonated catless, inked single mid pipe that's resonated, and the anti-drone muffler with the valve delete. So love the setup, it sounds fantastic, but in my pursuit to find something absolutely perfect, I actually wanted to bring back the valves, and for only one reason alone. I wash my car late at night. Sometimes I start this car up early in the morning, and I'm one of those people that am very conscious about what my neighbors think, and I don't want to be annoying. Plus I have 3 kids, so starting the car up late or early, I want to make sure that I'm not causing a nuisance to anybody. So I was like, you know what? I would love to have something similar to what I have, but add some valves just to quiet it down, when I need it. Not necessarily when I'm driving, because I do like louder exhaust, louder than most people. So what I ended up doing was reaching out to Patrick once again, and I was like, hey, I'm really interested in adding some valves, but I don't want to do the full muffler. I don't want to quiet it down too much. So we came up with this. This is an absolute beautiful piece by Inked Customs. Patrick custom made this one for me. As you can see, it's got 2 mufflers, although these are a little bit smaller than what's currently on there. I have one larger one, which I'll show you in a little bit once we take it off. And as you can see, we got valves. So it uses the OEM valve motors, got the little flaps in there. They are, I believe, open right now. I can't really tell. I don't know. I'll check in a little bit. But we got valves here. So ultimately, when the valves are closed, the exhaust gases comes through here, blocked off here. So it goes through this muffler. Same thing on this side. We come up. This valve's closed. Goes through this muffler. Comes out these center pipes here and ultimately quiets things down. When they are open, the gas flows through here, straight out there. So some of the volume kind of goes through here, through the mufflers a little bit, but mostly it's straight through here. So it can be super loud or super tame, which is perfect, exactly what I want. Now, in order to control the valves, I have the AK Motion data vent display, as you guys can sort of see in there. And I have full control of the valves just with a press on the screen to open, close them, run them like OEM, do whatever I want. A lot of different options to be able to do that. There's also valve controllers, which I've ran on here before, way back in the day, about a year ago, before I deleted the valves. So lots of different options to be able to control that, but the vent display is going to handle my control of the valves. So now some detail on the exhaust. The welds are absolutely beautiful. This is all hand done by Patrick himself. He has multiple different types of jigs for different cars, obviously for an F80, F82, M3, and he does a phenomenal job. Everything is high quality, very nice quality metal. It's not some cheap metal or anything, and he does fantastic work. Everything fits beautifully. Another really cool feature about his exhaust is that he has adjustable hangers. So as you can see, you can adjust the hanger up and down and get it exactly where you need it, so you can get the tips as close to the body or where you want it to sit as possible. Also underneath, he added a nice little detail. He added a Made in Germany inked badge on there, so when it is on and you look under, you can see that and know that it is done by a high quality, very good guy that knows what he's doing and really kind of nailed down these exhausts. So what we're going to end up doing is removing the current one. And if anybody is interested, yes, that is sold. I actually got to pack it up in that box and ship it out tomorrow for the new owner all the way on the West Coast out in California. And then we can get to installing this. So let me go ahead, get that one off. We'll put these side to side so you guys can see the differences and kind of go over everything. And then ultimately we can get to installing that one, putting the valves on, and some sound clips for you guys. So let me go ahead, get this done. I'm gonna be watching some football over here, and yeah, let's get it done. All right, so this is what we got going on, and this is what I have been running. As you can see, we got one giant anti-drone muffler in the middle, no valves at all, and it connects right to the In Customs mid pipe right here. So pretty much the loudest setup you can do. I guess the louder one would be removing that muffler right there and just having these pipes come right out here, but it wouldn't sound good. It would just be kind of obnoxious. So having that anti-drone muffler actually really does help with the drone, and it sounds very good. But we're gonna go ahead and get this removed. So what I'm gonna start doing is remove the hangers right up here. All you gotta do is unscrew right there. I believe those are 12 millimeters. I have to check. Undo the clamps, which are right there, and then ultimately pull it off, and we can compare. So let's go do that, get that off, and show you what this thing looks like off the car. All right, guys, we got the OG, the original In Customs anti-drone muffler with no valves off of the car. This is what I have been running for the last year. As you can see, this muffler is much bigger, and those two are much smaller. So overall, it's going to be the same amount of, I think, volume, but at the end of the day, this has got valves, and I think it's going to be a little bit more refined and just better sounding overall. But beautiful craftsmanship. These are the tips that I run. These are the Horizon Motorsports gloss black inserts, a little dirty right now, with the carbon exterior. You can get In Customs tips. I actually have them over there. They are for the new owner. I'm going to send them with them. And yeah, so very similar, but just a few tweaks to kind of make it a little bit better. And ultimately, I think this one just looks better. It looks cooler. A lot more bends and welds and everything like that. But obviously that one is much simpler, less bends. And either way, they're both fantastic looking exhaust, but I think this is going to be the ticket. All right, so I went up in storage in the attic, got my valve motors. This is the stock valve controller, valve motor off of my stock exhaust. Patrick does include new springs, and what these essentially do, as you can see on the motor here, there's a little notch. That little notch goes right into that little groove right there, and same thing in there. Now you want to make sure before you take the valves off of your stock exhaust or whatever exhaust you're running, what's position that it's currently in. I looked on my stock exhaust, it was in the opened position. So if we take a look on the inside here, sorry, a little blurry, but you can see the valves are indeed open. Now in order to change that, you just take a screwdriver. You can actually even just use your finger, and you can just turn the valve with the screwdriver to whatever position the current, the motor, the little module right there is in. So I have them completely open. So what I'm gonna do is take the little spring, put the little notch in the little groove in the valve, make sure it is open, which it is. And now I'm gonna take the controller from the stock exhaust and line that notch up with that one. So obviously this only goes on one way, but If we can, sorry, it's kind of hard to show you, but line that little notch up with that, like that. Screw it down and you are set. All right, so I got it screwed down. As you can see, the notch is indeed still in the open position. So when I look inside, sorry, a little hard to focus, but you can see inside the valve is entirely open right now. So when I start the car and I open and close it, it's in the right position. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side and get that knocked out, and then we can throw this on the car. All right, guys, valves are installed. Those little screws for the valves are 10 millimeters, in case you guys are wondering. But we got the little spring in on each side in the right position, tighten down, and we are good to go. Just make sure that little nub is in that notch of the valve. This one was a little bit tighter. That one fit a little bit better. So I'm gonna make sure that this is properly seated, and then we should be good. But that side, it fit in the little notch much better. So I don't know if I just need to kind of position it correctly or move it around a little bit, but let me go ahead and do that, and then I can start throwing it on the car. All right, so as you can see, I got the notch in the little motor in there much better. All I did was take a flathead and kind of pried up right here, and I popped it into place. I did the same thing with the other side. It wasn't seated properly, and it went into place just fine. So you can see the notch on the spring at the top, right in the little groove of the motor up here, and the notch is on the bottom as well. So we are good. So let's go ahead, throw this in the car, get everything lined up, put the tips on, and try this out. All right, guys, so it's been about, I don't know, 25 minutes or so, and I've just been playing around with the adjustment, threw the tips on loosely just to kind of get an eyeball alignment before I lowered the car, get it on the ground, but just wanted to give you guys a look of it under the car. Fits beautifully, absolutely perfect, tons of clearance, no issues whatsoever. But the last thing that we need to do is plug in the valve. So I have these zip tied up here and tucked away. So now, if we look here, all we do is simply plug them back in like that, and we're good. All right, guys, install is complete. I am actually going to be going for my first drive right now, so I figured I would get the first startup and get some sound clips for you guys. Now, a few tips when installing an exhaust, an axleback specifically, this style where everything is a slip joint. I recommend putting in the back of the muffler into the mid pipe first, into the connection pipes. Put them in first, get them situated, hold it up, put the hangers on with the 13 millimeter nuts. And then once you get that in place, since these have adjustable hangers, what I ended up doing was using a jack and jacking up the muffler to the position that I wanted. Once I got it sitting where I wanted it, I adjusted the hangers and then tightened them down. My previous setup with the first axleback that I had from In Customs, what I ended up doing was holding the exhaust with my knee and tightening down the adjusters, which made it really, really hard and kind of hard to adjust right where I want it. So I used the jack this time and it worked perfectly. It held it in the position that I wanted, and then I just tightened down the screws or the bolts on the hangers and I got it perfect. So everything is aligned, tips are on, car's looking good, a little dirty still, but so we're gonna go out for our first test drive, get some sound clips for you guys, and see what I think. I'm gonna start the car with the valves open because why not? It's kind of late in the morning here and everybody's either at school or work, so I can start it up and be as loud as I want right now. But I'll obviously show you guys it closed and open so you can hear the differences between the two. All right, so one of the really cool things that I talked about was being able to control the valves with the AK Motion vent display. Now, I did a whole video on this, the install, kind of walking through all the details of it. I've been so thrilled with this thing since I installed it about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 months ago. I forget when I did it. That now that I have control of the valves and also turning the burbles on and off with this thing, it makes it that much better. So let me go ahead and show you exactly how to do that. So this is just what I keep it on to monitor all the different temperatures and everything. It's awesome. Check out that video if you want to see more detail on it. But if we click home and then go over to here, we have control of many different things. So as you can see, sound tuning, that's the burbles. We can turn active sound on or off. I just leave it off. I don't like active sound. And here, the exhaust flap, that is where I can control them being open, closed. I could even turn it into auto, which is pretty much OEM, how it fluctuates. I don't like that. I like them either open or closed. But let me show you some examples. So this is with the burbles on and exhaust flap open. So there you go, there's that. And then we can turn the burbles off. So if I rev it again, no burbles at all. So we can turn that back on, and then we can click here. Valves are now closed with the burbles on. Awesome. And then we can turn the burbles off with the valves closed. So having the ability to do that on the fly, you don't have to turn off the car, you don't have to tune anything. I simply could just be driving down the road and do whatever I want, which is absolutely awesome. For me, I like the burbles on and the exhaust open when I'm driving, because most of the time when I'm driving this car, it's for fun, so I like to hear everything I possibly can hear out of the exhaust. It makes it that much better. The way that I have my burbles set, I did a whole video on that, so go check that out if you're interested in my settings. But I don't like the pops and bangs. I just like the gurgling, just the kind of aggressive rumble as you decel and shift and everything. I don't like the really loud pops and bangs and all that stuff. But another cool thing you can do as well is you can tap that and you can go to auto, as I mentioned, which brings it to the auto, the OEM-like function where it fluctuates based on what mode you're in and everything. So that is really cool. But for me, I like them open. So another quick thing, you can actually customize how it's set up as well. So if we scroll over to settings here, and then we go to extras, and now you can see exhaust flap. So if we click on that, here you're able to control even more. So you can turn active control on or off. You can change how it starts. So start with on the last state, open, closed, auto, silent start, which basically I believe is when it's closed. MFL button, no MFL button, I'm not 100% sure what that is. And street mode, I'm not 100% sure what that is. I haven't tested it fully. and kind of gone through the motions. But so cool that you're able to control the sound of the exhaust to whatever way that you want it in any situation on the fly. You don't have to do any customization or anything like that. It's a separate unit. It is absolutely awesome. If you guys have not picked one up, I highly recommend it. It is a great tool to have. It's also can read codes and delete codes and all that stuff. Has a lot of different customization and coding in it as well. So really awesome. Hit up Alex from AK Motion. I highly recommend it. All right, guys, I wanted to show you this because this is really cool. You're actually able to change the exhaust flap, the valve, with the res button, the resume button on your steering wheel here. So what you actually do is you go over into settings, and then we're going to go over to extra exhaust flap, and then we're going to scroll down to the MFO button. And what you actually got to do is hold that down. Then it's going to say press res. You press res, and then that's going to change where it says res. So that is programmed now. So now if we go back to the exhaust flap area, or the exhaust screen, so we're here. So now if I press resume, if you look on right here and also up here, you'll see the blinkers. Each blinker means something different. I'll explain it as I'm doing it. Right now it's closed. So if I hold down resume, you'll see a blinker, double blink. Now it changed to auto. Now if we hold down again, left blink, as you can see, now it's open. We hold it again, and now it's closed. Right blinker means closed. So really cool. So I can do this on the fly. I don't have to have this up as I'm driving. Just a really cool feature that I figured I would show you, since I didn't really explain that when I was going over the different functions of this and everything. All right, guys, that is gonna do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I am in absolute love with this exhaust. By far my favorite setup. I have honestly been searching for the right sound for the S55 for a while now. I've had this car for over a year, and as I mentioned, I've tried quite a few setups, and I'm so thrilled with what I ended up with. Even with the previous muffler that I had on there, the muffler delete, if you call it the anti-drone muffler with the valves delete, it sounded really good, but it was just loud at all times. And again, I like my exhaust louder, but still there was a few resonances that were kind of annoying at certain RPMs. So now that I finally dial it in, and it honestly sounds so good. It is really hard to get this car sounding good, and I can confidently say that I have not heard an S55 sound this good without going to a single turbo. This is on the stock twin turbos, so I didn't change anything in regards to that. Otherwise, if you want to stay stock turbos like myself, definitely this is the way to go. So that is going to do it for this one, guys. If you want the best exhaust possible, I highly recommend hitting up Patrick from Ink Customs. He will make you anything that you want. If you guys want this exact setup, just tell him Chris sent you and you want this exact setup. He'll know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I'm so thrilled with this. I can't wait for it to break in even more and get even better. But this car is it's blowing my mind. And now that I finally got this thing set up the way that I want it, and sounding and everything, it is just absolutely a huge joy to own this car. Definitely got a few more things up my sleeve that I am looking forward to doing, and I'm looking forward to kind of showing you guys that journey and what else we're going to be doing with this car. But I'm just going to enjoy it for now, enjoy the new exhaust, and yeah, I will catch you guys in the next one. If you have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.